Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. As you know already, New Japan has begun the annual Tag Team Round Robin Tournament World Tag League. So we're going to focus only on the A block matches. That's how it all begins. So we're going to see who in fact will get their first 2 points. Now remember, boys and girls, this is the opening round. So it's still too early to determine, but also we're going to see some interesting combinations between the War Dogs and the unaffiliated. Something I don't think we ever seen, but we will see exactly how they will coexist. And then, of course, we move on with Ring of Honor featuring, of course, the ROH Women's World title on the line. Athena defends it against Feel My Wrath. That's right, Harley Cameron. We even have, of course, a couple of women's pure wrestling matches featuring two wrestlers involved, of course, in the title tournament for to become the first ever ROH Pure Women's Wrestling Champion. So we'll see how that will go on, and plenty more matches as well. And then, of course, we move on with TNA. As you all know, they come up after the aftermath of Turning Point. However, of course, TNA are currently on high alert with NXT, as you know, for 2 days in a row. They appeared and attacked the roster. But the real question is, what's going to happen? And of course, there'll be a number one contender matchup, of course, to determine who will face for the TNA Knockouts World title. So we'll see how that will progress. And then after that, we'll wrap up our episode, as usual, with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information is unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do some real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, have the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be gaining a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough of the jibber jabbers. Let's get started. So, as I said earlier, New Japan has begun the annual Tag Team Round Robin Tournament World Tag League. So let's begin. All right, New Japan World Tag League. Now, for those who are not familiarized with this tournament, this is the annual round robin tournament in a heavyweight tag team setting. Now, of course, like any other tournament, this is a point-based system like they'd always do in New Japan. If you win a match, you get 2 points. Lose a match, 0. But in the situation of a countout or a draw or double countout, however it's going to go, the competitors get 1 point each. So that's how it goes. Now, I did mention there's an interesting combination, so let's get talk from the first match all the way to the end. Now, the first match We have Shuji Ishikawa, who many of you know. He is one of the executive producers down in Evolution. He teams up with El Desperado. Now, this is El Desperado's first time being in World Tag League, which was very unusual, but I have to say I'm very curious because I never expected this coming from him whatsoever. But he teams up. But their opponents are none other than the former never weight six-man tag team champions, two-thirds of the team, Bolton Oleg and Toru Yano. Now, I don't know exactly how this was going to play out because, to be honest, I was thinking in some capacity maybe El Desperado could prove himself that maybe he can make the jump. But however, well, like Kevin Kelly used to say, and now, of course, Chris Carlton, he says, "Oh, my monitor went out." Yep, Yano is back to his usual shenanigans. He actually low blowed Ishikawa after he tossed after El Desperado was tossing to him, and of course Yano applied a roll up, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. So Yano and Old Leg um, gained 2 points, and leaving Ishikawa and Despy with just 0. Now, this match, of course, this is going to be a very interesting match, but of course, nobody likes these scumbags. Of course, the House of Losers. One team we have, of course, Yujiro Takahashi and Chase Owens, which is no surprise to me because of those who follow the Bullet Club very closely. These two guys always team up, but they're facing against Don Fale and Evil. Now, of course, you probably would guess there's going to be a lot of cheating going down, and that's exactly what happened because we weren't sure where that's going to lead until of course, that idiot with the whiskey, Kanemaru, showed up and sprayed his whiskey all over, like passing it on. And then he gave whiskey mist onto Chase Owens, not realizing that, of course, he accidentally took out his own partner. And not even Yujiro know what just happened. And just like that, Evil got away with it once more by putting Yujiro in a sharpshooter, and just like that, he tapped out. Chase and Yujiro had no idea what just happened. Of course, Evil tried to plead that we're sorry, we just had to win, that sort of thing. We all know that Evil and the rest of the House of Losers are scumbags. They would do whatever it takes to win. But of course, Evil and Fale only have 2 points, and leaving Yujiro and Chase 0. Now, our next match is a very interesting one. We have Satoshi Kojima and Taichi, formerly what used to be known as Kojima-gun. Now, if you guys are not familiarized with that, these guys were part of a faction that features, of course, not only these two, but Taka Michinoku and MVP. They were like the early incarnation, what later became known as Suzuki-gun. Of course, Satoshi Kojima was kicked out. MVP fled, leaving Taichi and Taka Michinoku to form Suzuki-gun with them, and expanded it to what it later became known as one of the most dangerous factions in the entire New Japan and Noah as well. But their opponents are, of course, two-time back-to-back winners of World Tag League, Bishamon, Yoshihashi, and Hiroki Goto, and of course, multi-time tag team champions. So that kind of sets it up right there. But they have to, in fact, step up their game. And I wasn't too sure. I think many people might have thought in this match that Bishamon would have had this, because we know that Kojima and Taichi had their history. But out of some miracle, they were able to pick up their first win together. And it was, of course, Taichi that did it when he applied Black Mephisto. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, he picked up a win over Yoshihashi. And, of course, Kojima and Taichi gained their first 2 points, leaving Bishamon with 0. Now, our main event, it's a very interesting combination between, of course, members of the War Dogs and the unaffiliated. So, as you all know, recently Shingo said that he wants to team up with Drill and Maloney, and he is. And, of course, Gabe Kidd is teaming up with Yota Tsuji, which was very unusual. Keep in mind, Tsuji was the one who defeated Gabe Kidd for the belt, and now they're teaming up, and it's very interesting. But what I did like about this match, people may not have imagined that Maloney and Shingo were going to get along great. And it was very impressive. And I have to say, like, in my opinion, I think it's time for the War Dogs to disappear and form a new type of faction with what you see, what is now the unaffiliated, and do something good, something different from what they used to do. Because the way I say it, they did a pretty good job, Maloney and Shingo, and that's exactly what they did. They even, of course, picked up their first two win when they apply a very interesting finisher move together on Gabe Kidd, and just like that, they gained their first 2 points. But what's interesting during the post match, Maloney had an idea of calling themselves a tag name, and what he suggested was War Dragons. So he's saying, look, War Dog, you as the Rampage Dragon, War Dragon. And of course, Shingo likes it, but he wasn't too sure if that's the right name. But of course, Maloney allowed the fans to make the choice. And of course, the fans voted for War Dragon, so that's their new tag name. And I have to say, I wouldn't be surprised if these guys are the ones who end up winning Tag League. And it would be a fantastic thing to see. So we'll see how that goes out from there. But as of right now, as I mentioned, we already are opening round, and I'm going to say the next show will feature B Block. So stay tuned for that. But as of right now, let's move on with Ring of Honor. Okay, Ring of Honor. So we opened up, of course, with an interview with Lexi, talking to Billy Starks. As you know, Billy Starks is part of the ROH Women's Pure Championship tournament to determine the first winner ever. Now, of course, she has to deal with a lot of competitors, but later we did see Athena, who Athena decided to, well, apologize, which is something not in her vocabulary to begin, apologizing to her, saying wishing that it would have been her teaming up for the AEW Women's World Tag Team Belts tournament. So that's it. So of course Billy accepted her apology, and then later they would try to do like the whole reunion between the three of them, which Lexi was part of it. So I thought it was funny. Now, our opening matches, of course, is the ROH Women's World Title match. Harley Cameron making a play for this belt against Athena. Now, of course, many people were behind Harley Cameron, but unfortunately, Athena was one who took matters into bringing her aggression out, and that's exactly what she did. She put Harley Cameron out by applying her submission move, and just like that, Harley Cameron gave up. But of course, Athena wasn't going to let her go. She wanted to punish her for, of course, making a play onto her, but that's how Athena operates. She doesn't like it when people challenge her because she believes they are not even worthy. Harley even mentioned she felt that she wasn't worthy, but she's willing to try. Now, our next two matches are part of the Pure Rules, but in the women's division. Our first match is Billy Starks taking on Katie Arquette. Of course, Billy Starks has this frustration attitude where she's trying to not play by exactly the same rules as what they are doing in the Pure Rules division, but she was able to do so when she applied the Swanton, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, one of the participants in the tournament, Deonna Purrazzo, even ruined her moment by showing up and making her way to the ring, and she faces against Viva Van. Now, I did mention a countless times that I would think, my opinion, the first person to ever win the tournament would be, in fact, to be crowned as the first ever ROH Women's World Pure Champion would be Deonna Purrazzo. And of course, she took out the Viva Van with the Fujiwara armbar. But until in the post match, Billy Starks decided to attack her from behind, and I wouldn't be surprised if Deonna Purrazzo decided to return the favor. So we'll see where that goes from there. Now, Persephone, as you know, she's been very impressive. Those who haven't seen her, she's part of CML. She has wrestled all over the world, Japan, the UK, anywhere, and of course here in the States. And now she's calling out Athena for the ROH Women's World Title. Now, this is the thing I hope she knows what she's doing, because Athena doesn't like to being called out, and that's something that the old saying goes, we be careful what you wish for, but I hope Persephone knows what she's doing. Now, continue on. We had Satnam Singh taking on JP Grayson. Well, I can tell you that this match ended with Satnam Singh winning by a chokeslam, and just like that, it was over. Now, our next match, we have Jack Jamison versus QT Marshall. Very interesting matchup, but luckily QT Marshall had backup. He had Big Justice and Big Boom AJ. As you all know, AJ and QT will be teaming up to take on RPG Vice from the Don Callis family. And of course, it was uh, QT Marshall with the cutter onto Jack Jameson and won. And just like that, 1, 2, 3 was done. However, of course, the Frat House decided to do a 4-on-2 assault, but thank God for Big Justice for helping him out. And of course, QT and AJ took matters in their own hands until they were attacked by, of course, the members of the Don Callis family, more specifically RPG Vice and others, sending a direct message to them until we get to this coming Saturday. So stay tuned for that too. Now, our next match, we have Persephone versus Valentina Rossi. I thought the match was pretty good, but I think many people were behind Persephone, and that's exactly what we've been seeing. I mean, we've seen so many times where Valentina Rossi was almost close in defeating her, but Persephone was very resilient, and she was able to pick up the win when she applied the Razor's Edge, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, Athena showed up because I think she was pissed that she didn't like the idea of being called out by, of course, Persephone, but out of nowhere, Persephone was attacked by Diamante. We don't know what the relationship is between those two, but I'm sure Diamante wants a piece of Persephone. Now, our main event, we have, of course, the infantry members of the Shane Taylor's promotion, Carly Bravo and Sean Dean. They take on Top Flight, Dante and Darius Martin, members of the Skyflight. And I thought the match was pretty good. There was going to be some great moments. But what no one expected is Top Flight picking up the win thanks to a very impressive sunset flip by Dante Martin and onto Carly Bravo because he was attempting to use the belt against them. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, Top Flight won the match. And then, of course, Shane Taylor Promotions decided to retaliate. And, of course, Fatty, Shane Taylor, decided to show up and try to even the odds. But thank God for Scorpio Sky to try to help them out, and they're sending a message that they're coming for the ROH World Six-Man Tag Team belts. So we'll see what happens until then, but I'm looking forward to that. But as of right now, we're done with Ring of Honor. Let's move on with TNA. Okay, so our final review, TNA. Now, it opened up with Mike Santana opening the show, doing a promo. Now, it doesn't take a genius to figure out what this is about. I know that Mike Santana's been beaten up over the fact that he lost the TNA World Title, a championship that he worked so hard but later taken from him, just like that in an instant. Now, it's no secret that he'll be gunning for that belt once again, and the one person who screwed him over just to cash in a trophy during a moment where he is trying to hold it as long as possible showed up. So he'll be gunning for Frankie Kazarian soon enough. Now, Santino Marella, as you know, he's been working round the clock on what the hell happened last week. As you know, TNA were invaded by NXT twice in 2 days, one on a Thursday, the other on a Friday in Turning Point. So he's trying to find out more. And of course, Frank Kazarian, as you all know, the president of TNA, Carlos Silva, is looking at him as a number one suspect. Frankie thinks that he had nothing to do with it, but people are saying you came out of this unscathed while NXT invaded, and which is true. But however, JDC showed up and he asked for a title shot, and of course, Frank Kazarian said he didn't earn it. But however, Santino came up with the perfect idea about him, JDC versus Eric Young, and the winner he'll get a title shot. He's like, why do he gets that? Because you said he has to earn it, and that's exactly what happened. Now, our next match is one of a few matches that will be determining a number one contender for the TNA Knockouts World Championship. We have Mala Grace versus Danny Luna versus Rosemary versus Indy Hartwell. Now, of course, when it comes to four ways, it's very unpredictable because you don't know exactly how this is going to end because one person will try to stop the other. Now, if it's a singles match, you know how that works. But with four ways, that's even harder. But we did see, of course, Mila Grace and Rosemary handle business outside, but unfortunately, Indy Hartwell ended up losing by getting chained to face by Danny Luna, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Danny Luna picked up the win. Ref did not see anything, so that whole thing ended. Now we did see, of course, Eric Young sending his two masked goons try to cleanse TNA of problems within the company, and of course, he was fully aware about what just transpired. Him facing against JC, and once again, he's calling Santino a puppet. So you probably can guess how that's going to turn out. Now, Santino was with his daughter, Ariana Grace, of course, talking about how did this happen with NXT just appearing. And of course, they mentioned about Mike Santana leaving the door open when he was walking out. Now, of course, Santino said, in his honest opinion, that they should let the door open so NXT can come in. And of course, Macklin and Hardy showed up, saying that let them through. We'll fight them anyway. And they're like saying, okay, but what can we do to draw them in? And of course, they came up with the idea. Macklin and Hardy says, "Well, we got the bait right here." And what they were referring to is the championship titles that they have. The Hardys as the current TNA World Tag Team Champions, and Steve Macklin as the TNA International Champion. So you can guess that's going to draw their attention. Now, our next match we have, of course, Mance Warner taking on Matt Cardona. Now, of course, these two guys actually know each other too well in the independents. They even work together, not to mention Cardona used to call Mance Warner as family, and not to mention with Mance's wife, Steph DeLanders. But unfortunately, this match took a turn when Steph DeLanders allowed Mance Warner to use her purse. And, of course, Mance Warner applied the glass, what's it? The glass window onto Matt Cardona, which is like a somewhat version of the paradigm shift or Death Rider, and just like that, Mance Warner won. 1, 2, 3, done. Now, Mr. Stone, as you know, saying that this is a little favor they're returning, and I didn't know what he meant, and that's when it clicked to my head. If you guys remember, not too long ago, Trick Williams was going to put his NXT, put the TNA World Title on the line against, of course, Obafemi, who was at the time the NXT champion. It's like a winner takes all match, and of course, TNA roster were not having it. And of course, I would say that this is a little payback for what just transpired during that time. So that's what I would think. And of course, they'll be gunning for TNA one way or the other. Now, Matt Cardona had some words to say to Mance Warner, so basically he is not done with them. So we most likely will see him at the next pay-per-view show, Final Resolution, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll see what happens. Our next match, we have John Skyler versus Myron Reed. Now, we know that the Order 4 members, the Great Hands, or should I say the Dumb Hands, John Skyler and Jason Hodge are gunning for the TNA World Tag Team belts, which is something they want because the Order 4 are trying to determine that they are the ones in control, that people should trust them more often. But, of course, we did see later on Agent Zero took out Trey Miguel, but what of course Trey Miguel what Myron Reed didn't realize, he was blindsided with the arrival of Jason Hodge and costing the match. Jason Hodge even helped John Skyler win by dragging him out and using the rope, and just like that, John Skyler got away with it by sneaking his way out. Now, we did see First Class talking, Rich Swann and AJ Francis. AJ Francis was not happy with Rich Swann shaking hands with Leon Slater. Rich Swann says, it's just sportsmanship that we have, okay? And of course, AJ's like, I don't give a damn about this sportsmanship. It's a load of crap. So Leon Slater got into his face and told him, look, how about I put this title on the line against you at Final Resolution? And of course, we all know that's what AJ would want. Leon Slater is not an idiot. He knows exactly the type of person AJ Francis is. So hope the kid knows what he's doing. Now, our next match is, of course, not the next match. Now, as you know, the Elegance brands are looking for the next Mr. Elegance, and they had about a couple of surprises. We did see, of course, Ash by Elegance real life husband being there. We did see Zach Clayton. Many of you know him as JWoww's boyfriend, husband, I'm not sure, and this guy who's just appeared out of nowhere. So we'll stay close to that, see how that goes. Now, as you know, we have the Knockouts four-way match taking place. Our next one, we have Victoria Crawford versus Jody Threat versus Killer Kelly versus Zaya Brookside. Now, like I said before, four ways are very unpredictable because you don't know how this is going to turn out, and that's exactly what we expected. Now, we did see, of course, Jody Threat and Victoria Crawford go to head, but Zaya Brookside was the one that picked up the win when she applied, of course, a bridge, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Zaya Brookside picked up the next win. Now, as you all know, last week we did see Myla Moore making her presence known. They just announced a new signee, and that signee is Jada Stone. So basically, Jada Stone is the new person to side. Now, Santino decided to give matches for the final resolution. I kind of forgot what it is that's gonna take place, so we'll see. I'll probably do that at another time if you guys ever saw it. Now, Frank Kazarian makes his way to the ring because he wanted to witness Eric Young to take out JDC. Now, many people might have thought that JDC didn't have a chance against, of course, against Eric Young, and that's exactly what many people thought. But however, that didn't do any well for anybody. It ended, of course, with JDC applying, of course, the down and dirty, and he won. Now, Eric Young did try to cheat, but it failed. And of course, Frankie Kazarian, well, he has to pay attention to what he's about to do next. So stay tuned for that. So as of right now, we are officially done with TNA and our reviews. Let's move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So let's begin, as always, with some upcoming events. Let's start with GCW. As you know, we have two events that have been announced. Recently, as you know, we have the Say You Will event in Seattle on the 5th of December. They just announced the GCW Ultraviolet Championship will be on the line. Matt Tremont will defend it against the Silvertooth Satan Acticus Coer. So that's going to be one bloody match right there. And then, of course, we have the New Year's Eve show, Do or Die in Richfield Park, that will be taking place. Four more names have been announced. We have Priscilla Kelly, formerly known as Gigi Dolan. Then we have Atticus Cogar, the Bad Boy, Joey Janela. And then finally, of course, what's the name? Oh, yeah, Ciclope. So that's pretty much it for that. Now, as you know, we have the collaboration between both Wrestling Revolver and Arrival Wrestling with Wrestle Combat on the 21st of November at Newark, New Jersey. Two matches have been announced. Ace Austin, who makes his return, will take on Ryan Clancy. And then, of course, we have a three-way match, Alan Angels versus Crash versus Damian Chambers. And then finally, for our updates here, we have Jersey Championship Wrestling with Roundball Rock on the 19th of December, and another qualifying match for the Jersey J Cup taking place. They announced Darian Bankston will be involved. He'll be taking on Eli Knight. And that's pretty much it for our upcoming events. Now we only have one development. Um, it was announced. It was reported by Fightful Select that they got sources saying from AEW that Anna Jay, her contract will be expiring soon. I wouldn't be so surprised if that it ends by the end of this year. But there are those that still believe that maybe she'll be remaining stay with AEW. We're not sure. Some people are still commenting maybe she should go with NXT. We don't know exactly yet because you got to keep in mind Anna Jay is an OG of AEW, so we'll see what happens. So I'll stay close to it and I put a pin on it, and we'll follow more. And I think that's pretty much it. So let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, I haven't decided yet what we're gonna do. Um, I might have to wing it. So I might have to catch up with some of the Yoshi Wrestling events that we haven't gone up to. So stay tuned for that. I do know we have an MLW event that just recently came out. I'm not sure. I may have to catch up with the other one too. So we'll just have to wait and see. Keep in mind, this coming Saturday we do have Full Gear and plenty of other things. And of course, as I said earlier, we have begun the annual Tag Team Round Robin Tournament by New Japan World Tag League. So there'll be more of that. And I think Stardom are still continuing with their tag league as well. So we'll still stick along with those as well. But as of right now, we'll leave things as it is. I'll just wing it for the next episode. But if there's any other news updates that I might share with you guys by itself, I'll do those as soon as possible. But as of right now, that's pretty much it. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.